It is 7 in the morning on a Tuesday. A man is 66 years old. He is sitting on his deck overlooking the ocean in Florida. The house is paid off. $1.8 million sits in his investment accounts. His health is good. His wife is healthy. By every metric that matters in financial planning, he has won the retirement game. And yet, as he sits there with his coffee watching the sunrise, something is desperately wrong. He cannot name it. He cannot explain it to his wife when she asks him what is bothering him. But there is a hollowness in his chest that was not there 6 months ago. A feeling that he is drifting through days instead of living them. He thought he had done everything right. He maxed out his 401k for 30 years. He worked with a financial advisor who built him a detailed retirement income plan. He calculated his withdrawal rate down to the decimal point. He planned for inflation, healthcare costs, and longevity risk. Every spreadsheet said he was fine. Every calculator said he had more than enough. What nobody told him is that money is only half the equation, and the other half, nobody even puts it on paper. This is the retirement crisis that destroys lives while bank accounts stay full. It is the reason financially secure retirees end up miserable. It is why having $2 million in the bank does not guarantee you will want to get out of bed in the morning. My name is Alex, and today we are going to talk about why fully funded retirements are falling apart, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it before it is too late. Let me start with something that will sound completely backwards. Research shows that retirees with over $1 million in assets report similar levels of life dissatisfaction as middle-class retirees with far less money. Read that again. Having 10 times more money does not make you 10 times happier in retirement. In many cases, it does not make you happier at all. Why? Because if you spent decades believing that hitting your financial number would solve everything, the crash when you realize it did not is even harder. You sacrificed weekends, you delayed trips, you lived below your means for years, all because you believed that once you hit that magic number, everything would click into place. And then you get there, you hit the number, you retire, and 6 months later, you are sitting on your deck wondering why the hell you feel so empty. The paradox is cruel. The more you focused exclusively on the money, the less prepared you are for everything else. And everything else is what actually determines whether your retirement works or falls apart. Here is what the first 6 months look like for most people. It is pure euphoria. You wake up and realize you do not have to go to work. You sleep in, you take that trip to Italy you have been postponing for 10 years. You finally tackle the garage project. You play golf on a Tuesday morning. You have lunch with friends at noon on a Wednesday. You feel liberated. You feel like you have finally made it. This is what researchers call the honeymoon phase, and it feels incredible. You are living the dream that every retirement commercial sold you. Beaches, freedom, endless leisure. No alarm clock, no demanding boss, no soul-crushing commute, just pure, unstructured time to do whatever you want. But here is what nobody warns you about. That feeling does not last. Research from MIT shows that the honeymoon phase typically lasts anywhere from a few weeks to about a year. For most people, it starts cracking around month 7. By month 18, it is completely shattered. What happens? The trips start feeling repetitive. Golf 4 times a week loses its appeal. The house projects run out. And one morning, you wake up at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday and realize something terrifying. There is nothing you need to do today. Nothing urgent. Nothing important. Nobody is waiting for you. Nobody needs your input. Your phone that used to buzz 30 times a day with emails and calls and messages now sits silent on the counter. And that is when the real crisis begins. Because what actually died the day you retired was not your paycheck, it was your relevance. At work, people waited for your decisions. They asked for your opinion. They needed you in meetings. You had expertise that mattered. You had responsibilities that affected outcomes. You had a role that only you could fill. When you walked into the office, people knew your name. When you spoke, people listened. When you were not there, things did not move forward the same way. Now, you are optional. Your kids do not call asking for advice. Your former colleagues have moved on without you. Your friends are still working during the day. Nobody needs you to weigh in on anything. Nobody is waiting for your email. Nobody cares what you think about the project. You spent 40 years being necessary, and in one day, you became expendable. That is the psychological earthquake that nobody prepares you for. And it does not matter how much money you have. $2 million does not make you relevant. It just means you can afford to be irrelevant in a nicer house. Let me tell you about the culture lie that sets you up for this disaster. For your entire adult life, you were told a story. Work hard, save money, sacrifice now for comfort later. And when you finally retire, you deserve to rest. You earned it. You worked 40 years. Now you can finally relax. It sounds reasonable. It sounds like wisdom. It is actually poison, because here is what nobody tells you. Rest is incredible for 2 weeks, maybe even a month. But human beings were not designed to rest for 30 years. Your brain is wired for challenge, for growth, for contribution, for solving problems that matter. When you remove all of that and replace it with permanent leisure, something inside you starts to decay. Money buys comfort, it buys security, it buys options, but it does not buy a reason to get out of bed. It does not buy the feeling that your day matters. It does not buy the sense that you are building something or contributing to something bigger than yourself. And this is where financial planners completely fail you. The financial industry has done an incredible job teaching people how to save for retirement, and an absolutely terrible job teaching people how to live in retirement. Your advisor can tell you exactly how much you need to retire. They can optimize your tax strategy. They can rebalance your portfolio. They can calculate your safe withdrawal rate down to the basis point. But ask them this: what am I going to do with my time for the next 30 years? How do I replace the structure that work gave me? How do I rebuild my identity when my career is gone? How do I find new ways to feel needed when nobody is asking for my expertise anymore? And watch them stare at you blankly, because that is not in their training. That is not in their software. That is not something they can put in a financial plan. So you end up with a bulletproof financial strategy and a completely empty life. Your portfolio is optimized. Your soul is dying. The spreadsheet says you are fine, but you are waking up every day wondering what the point is. Let me break this down. Your job gave you 3 pillars that held up your entire life, and when you retired, all 3 disappeared on the same day. Nobody told you they were load-bearing walls. Nobody warned you that removing them would cause the whole structure to collapse. Pillar 1 is structure. For 40 years, you had a reason to wake up. You had a place to be. You had deadlines. You had meetings. You had a rhythm to your week. Monday looked different from Friday. Morning had a purpose. Evening was a reward for completing the day. Your calendar was full. Your time had shape. Now, every day is Saturday, which sounds great until you realize that Saturday only feels good because it is different from the other 6 days. When every day is Saturday, none of them feel special. You wake up and there is no structure, no urgency, no deadlines, just empty hours stretching ahead of you. Pillar 2 is identity. For decades, you had a clear answer when someone asked what you do. I am an engineer. I am a teacher. I am a sales director. I am a project manager. That answer did 2 things. It told other people who you are, and more importantly, it told you who you are. Your job was not just what you did, it was a huge piece of how you defined yourself. Now imagine someone asks you what you do, and you say, I am retired. Watch their face. Watch the conversation die, because retired is not an identity, it is the absence of identity. It is what you used to be, not what you are now. You went from being a builder, a contributor, a specialist, to being nothing. Someone who used to do something. Someone whose relevant years are behind them. Pillar 3 is impact. At work, you saw results. You finished a project and something changed. You solved a problem and it stayed solved. You made a decision and it affected outcomes. You could point to things and say, I did that, I built that, I fixed that. Even on hard days, you had tangible proof that your effort mattered. In retirement, there is no scoreboard. You can stay busy all day and accomplish absolutely nothing that matters. You play golf. Great, you shoot 83. Tomorrow you play again and shoot 85. Nothing changed. Nothing was built. Nothing moved forward. You took a trip. Wonderful. You came back and nothing is different. The lack of measurable impact slowly erodes your sense of purpose. Let me give you a thought experiment. Imagine you are at a dinner party. You meet someone new. They ask what you do. When you were working, you had an answer locked and loaded. I am a vice president of operations at a tech company. I run the marketing department for a healthcare firm. That answer opened doors. It started conversations. Now, you are retired, and you say I am retired. Watch what happens. Silence. Maybe a polite follow-up. Oh, what did you used to do? And now you are talking about your past. You are talking about who you were, not who you are. You are not a current participant in the world. You are a former participant, someone whose productive years are over. Here is the uncomfortable question. If you are not an engineer anymore, if you are not a teacher anymore, if you are not a manager anymore, then who are you? And if your answer is just a list of hobbies you dabble in, that is not enough, because hobbies do not replace identity. Playing golf does not make you a golfer in the way that designing software made you an engineer. Now let me tell you why hobbies do not save anyone. Golf 4 times a week is not a replacement for a career. Traveling to 12 countries in a year is not a substitute for meaningful work. Binge-watching Netflix series is not a purpose. These are ways to fill time. They are not ways to build a life. And the reason this matters is because our culture sells retirement as endless leisure. The commercials show you on a beach. The financial industry markets retirement as permanent vacation. And that sounds great when you are burned out from work. But here is what they do not tell you. Vacation only feels good because it is temporary. It is a break from something. When vacation becomes your normal life, it stops feeling like vacation. It just becomes nothing. There is no contrast. There is no relief because there is nothing you are taking a break from. Let me be very clear. I am not saying you should not travel. I am not saying you should not play golf. What I am saying is that if those things are the entirety of your plan, you are in trouble, because those are entertainment. They are not substance. And a life made entirely of entertainment with no contribution, no growth, no challenge, no building towards something that matters is a hollow life. You do not need more vacation. You need something to retire to, not just something to retire from. And that is the question almost nobody asks before they pull the trigger. They ask, do I have enough money to stop working? They do not ask, what am I going to do that will give my life meaning when work is gone? A paid-off house and a 7-figure portfolio do not guarantee happiness. They guarantee financial security. Those are not the same thing. You can be financially secure and psychologically destroyed. You can have every material need met and still wake up every day feeling purposeless and irrelevant. So what actually works? What do the people who thrive in retirement do differently? Let me give you the framework. This is about intentionally rebuilding the 3 pillars that work gave you. You cannot go back to your old job, but you can reconstruct structure, identity, and impact in new ways. First, structure. You need to create new non-negotiable routines that give your days shape, not routines you will follow if you feel like it. Non-negotiable routines, things you do whether you want to or not. This could be volunteering 2 days a week. This could be teaching a class every Tuesday and Thursday. It does not matter what it is. What matters is that someone other than you is expecting you to show up. Self-imposed routines fail. Externally imposed routines work. You need someone else to be counting on you. Second, identity. You need to figure out who you are now, not who you were, who you are. And this is not about making up some feel-good answer. This is about actually building a new identity through action. You do not become a mentor by deciding you are a mentor. You become a mentor by actually mentoring people consistently over time. Identity is built through action, not thought. You need to start doing things, real things, things that require skill, things that produce results, things that other people value. Third, impact. You need to find something where you can measure progress, something where your effort creates visible change. You need to be able to point at something and say, that is different because I showed up. Without measurable impact, you will feel like you are spinning your wheels. Progress is what makes humans feel alive. Stagnation is what makes us feel dead. Let me give you 3 examples. First, a man who spent 30 years as a corporate executive. When he retired, he had plenty of money, but within 6 months he was miserable. So he started teaching carpentry to teenagers in an at-risk program. He used the same skills he had used in his corporate career: planning, problem solving, teaching people how to execute. He could see the impact. Kids who did not have direction suddenly had a skill. That gave him a new identity. That gave him measurable impact. Second, a woman who spent 25 years as an accountant. After a year of retirement, she felt empty, so she started offering free financial coaching to immigrant families who did not understand how the American financial system worked. She helped them set up bank accounts. She taught them how credit worked. She saw families go from financially illiterate to financially stable. That was measurable impact. That was a new identity. Third, a man who spent 30 years as a civil engineer. He started working with nonprofits in rural areas, designing clean water systems. He used the exact same engineering skills, but now he was working on projects that affected communities who had nothing, wells that worked, water that was clean, kids who stopped getting sick. Same identity, same skills, but a completely different application. Do you see the pattern? These people took the skills and expertise they had spent decades building and found new ways to apply them. They found new contexts where those skills mattered. They found new people who needed what they had to offer, and that gave them everything they needed: structure, identity, impact. Here is the 4-step process. Step 1. Do a brutal inventory. What did you lose when you stopped working? Structure? Identity? Impact? Be specific. Write it down. Step 2. Do a skills audit. What are you good at? What skills did you build over decades that have real value? Project management? Teaching? Technical expertise? Make a list. Step 3. Find the gaps. Where are your skills needed but missing? Where are people struggling with problems you know how to solve? This requires getting out and asking questions. Step 4. Create accountability. Do not rely on your own motivation. Find a structure where someone else is expecting you to show up. Commit to an organization. Sign up to teach a class. Make it so that bailing is not easy. This is not optional. This is survival, because if you do not do this, you drift for a year, then 2 years, then 5, and at some point you look back and realize you have wasted a decade. If you want more content about building a retirement that actually works, hit that subscribe button, because I am going to keep breaking down the things that financial advisors will not tell you. The best retirements are not the ones with the most money. They are the ones that are well lived. They are the ones where people figured out how to rebuild structure, identity, and impact in new ways. You are not retiring. You are changing jobs. The new job does not pay in dollars. It pays in reasons to get out of bed. It pays in the feeling that your day matters. If you do not build that intentionally, you are going to rot slowly while your bank account stays full. The question is not whether you have enough money. The question is whether you will have enough reasons to matter, enough structure to keep you from drifting, enough identity to know who you are, enough impact to feel like your days mean something. Answer that question. Build that life. And your retirement will not fall apart. It will be the best chapter you have ever lived.